What's going on, everybody? Happy Memorial Day weekend. Today we are in Madison, Wisconsin, and we're here to talk about the legend, the man, the myth, Chris Farley. Now, if you are in the age range of me, Chris Farley was pretty much my childhood. Everybody looked forward to any time he had a movie coming out. He grew up in Madison, Wisconsin. He was born here in 1964. His father was Thomas. He was a very successful he had a successful oil company. His mother was Mary Ann. She did make an appearance with him on SNL once. A very, very good family he came from here in Madison. He grew up in a very upscale house in a neighborhood across town. I did show that in the previous video, and I will link it up at the top of this video if you want to click on it and watch. But right now we are talking about Madison, Wisconsin. This was Chris Farley's hometown. This is where he is laid to rest. And this behind me is Our Lady of Peace Church. And this is the place where Chris Farley's funeral was actually held. Now, if you go through and look at some photos of Chris Farley's funeral, you could see a lot of different people coming out of this door in the church here. Lorne Michaels was here, Chris Rock was here, Dan Aykroyd, pretty much everybody who was a part of Chris Farley's life at SNL, David Spade, all of them you could have seen right here. So I'll tell you a little bit more of the story. Now, it is not open today, but Chris Farley, when he had his funeral here, it was kind of a homecoming. I mean, Chris Farley, he grew up here, he was raised here, he spent a lot of his time here, he came back here frequently. He moved to Chicago early on, and I guess we should rewind it a little bit. He went to high school at Edgewood High School, just a little bit away from here, and he developed an interest in improv comedy. He started at a place called the Art Comedy Theater here, and it's a very, very small place. I showed it in the previous video, which I'll link to this video, but it's a laundromat now, and it's very, very small, and you wouldn't even expect that it was a comedy theater. You know, only probably 20-30 people could have fit in there at best. And he ended up going, he was one of the best people. He went to Second City in Chicago, and he was the star of the show. And he was picked out by Saturday Night Live, and he was a favorite there. I mean, you couldn't do much back in the 90s without seeing the fat guy in a little coat, or Matt Foley, the motivational speaker. He was hilarious on SNL. Everything that he did turned to gold. And everybody that wrote skits wanted Chris to be in them because he brought the life out in it. And he ended up doing Tommy Boy. It was, I think that was his first starring role, but he was in a lot of other things like Coneheads and Airheads. He was in Black Sheep, which was pretty funny, but not as well reviewed. Beverly Hills Ninja. He was just a legend, and he went out way too soon. Passed away in 33 years old from a drug overdose in the John Hancock Tower. But he had his funeral right over here. Now, I'm not sure if this was his family church. I couldn't find that information, but this is where the funeral was held, right inside here. And you could see, there was a photo taken outside of this from the parking lot, and you could see a lot of the SNL guys just gathered right over here. Now, Chris Farley is buried about a mile away from here at Resurrection Cemetery, and we are going to go over there and pay our respects to him right now. Now, this is Resurrection Cemetery, and this is where Chris Farley was laid to rest. But the funny thing to me is that right across the street, it is right at Regent Street and Farley Avenue. Thought that was just a little bit coincidental. Now, Chris is actually interred here in this chapel right in front of me. Sometimes it's closed. Today's a Saturday. Today it may be closed. I'm not really sure. It's kind of hit or miss. Sometimes it's open, sometimes it's not. So let's give it a shot. But just for respect's sake, I will be quiet when we're inside, but I will show you the grave if we're able to. And then one other thing, Chris is right down here through this door here. Chris's father is right over here. Just a few steps away from Chris. Now that's all I have for you for today. Hopefully you enjoyed this short little tour. But like I said, I've done several videos from Madison, Wisconsin and a few videos on Chris Farley. So be sure to check out the channel if you haven't already seen those. I showed a lot of other places related to his life, his high school, his childhood home, and the Arc Theater, which is now a laundromat. So a lot of different interesting things here, but there's a lot of good stuff coming up on this channel. So have a good and safe holiday weekend, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.